the teenager from Eleuthera, who was last seen on the 15th of May by his father and reported missing by his father on the 22nd of May. I wish to inform that at 8:30 this morning, he was captured by officers on the island of Eleuthera. The young man, for some reason, didn't want to be caught. And so when he saw law enforcement officers, he tried to evade them. Officers had to run him down, in essence, to capture him. Obviously, this sends a signal to us in law enforcement that there's definitely something wrong. When a young person leaves home from the 15th of May and law enforcement officers are trying to find you and you're attempting to evade us. I can say that he was found in good health. He's presently at the clinic in Eleuthera having a thorough physical examination because we want to make sure that he is well. And we are working in conjunction with social services on the island of Eleuthera. He was caught in the area in Governor Eleuthera, in an area they call the Landing, which is in the area of the airport in Governor's Harbor. And so we're very pleased that we've been able to locate Matthew Tyson Brave, and he's in good health at this time. In relation to Devon Isaacs, we're still looking for him. Presently, I can say that officers are out with family members based on new intelligence that we've gathered. And I can say that we're following significant leads into this matter at this time. I'm hoping that before the end of the day, members of the press, we can come back to you and provide you with additional information. I'm not going to give too much information, or I'm going to limit what I say in relation to that, because we want to find Devon. We need to find Devon. And so, not going to give anything that's going to impede or hinder the progress of the investigation into Devon Isaacs. No more than to say we are following significant leads at this time. At this time, what I'm going to also allow is for Ms. Hepburn to update you on the role that social services plays in these matters. However, just before I say that, I want to say to parents, you have a responsibility to police your homes. Parents, you need to know who your children's friends are, and you need to know who their friends, the family of their friends. It's important. You cannot just allow your children to be friendly with someone and you have no idea as to who that person's family members are. I'm also going to ask you, examine the devices that you provide your children with. Your children are on TikTok, all these various social media platforms. They're communicating with people. You need to check and see who they are talking with. And if there's someone who you feel that law enforcement officers have to question in relation to whom your child may be speaking with, you need to come forward and let us know. Additionally, I wish to say, and it doesn't relate to this matter specifically, but when you come to the police department and you're requesting our assistance, members of the public, I need you to be open and transparent from your initial complaint. Your being transparent initially allows us to be able to resolve matters expeditiously. If you withhold information, it hinders the progress of the investigation. And so I wanted to say that, and also parents. Parents need to learn to spend time with their children. Quality time. Not time where everybody's sitting in the front room and everybody texting. Or everybody in the family room and they just texting whomever they want. Quality time where you can sit down, you talk with your children, find out what are some of the challenges that they're going through. Find out who they may have conflicts with. Find out what it is they want to be in life. Quality time. Stop trying to run behind the almighty dollar and becoming so materialistic that you allow social media and other people to raise your children. Tell your parents, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, and we work, like I said, we work closely with the social services. Some of you parents, it's a zero tolerance approach now. Zero tolerance. Parents, if you don't parent, then we're going to put you before the courts. We're going to put you before the courts. And Ms. Hepburn here from Social Services will speak to the section that you can find yourselves before the courts as parents. You cannot allow the neighbor or an electronic device or some other person to rear your child. That's your responsibility. The Bible tells you to train up your child in the way he should go. Parents, it's time to get back to basics. But I will allow Ms. Hepburn, like I said, the Assistant Director of the Department of Social Services, to update you on the role they're playing in both of these investigations. Ms. Hepburn.
Good morning. Okay. The Department of Social Services is very concerned about our children. And as a result of that, we would like to encourage the public, if they observe a child being neglected, abused, please reach out to us, even if you're not sure. And I'd like you to also know that it's mandatory that you report any form of abuse. We can be reached at our hotline numbers, which are 322-2763 or 422-2763. In regards to if it is being confirmed that a child is abused or neglected in some form, the department does a thorough investigation to determine exactly what would have taken place. Once that's done, steps are taken to place a child in a safe environment, and we usually reach out to family members because it's very important for them to be in an environment where they are comfortable. Those are the steps that we take, and of course we are aware that charges will be pressed against the parents once it's been proven. I'd also like to add that the Department of Rehabilitative Welfare Services, which is an arm of the Department of Social Services, provides assistance to parents who are experiencing challenges with their young children, juveniles. So if they're not attending school, if they're sleeping out, if they're being extremely disrespectful in the home where you are unable to control them, they can be referred to our department. They will then be assigned to a probation officer who provides individual counseling. If there are other needs, we will reach out to other agencies to assist. Parents, if you are experiencing difficulty parenting, our national parenting program is available where you can participate in parenting sessions. And it's important to do that because the method that you might be using might not really benefit that child. So it's a good way to have other ideas as to how you could counsel and discipline your child. So I'd just like to encourage all parents and the public, please be very vigilant. Observe what's happening in your home and in your environment. And do reach out to the Department of Social Services. Thank you.
At this time, we'll take any questions that you may have.
Yes, I understand that you're saying that police want to be kind of tight-lipped on the investigation with Mr. Isaacs, but are you able to say if any CCTV technology from businesses in the nearby area have been assisting police in their investigation to locate exactly where Devin Isaacs is or where he might have went on the night of his disappearance?
Yes, surveillance is being utilized to assist in the investigations. Surveillance as well as electronic equipment.
Question for Department of Social Services. It was reported that I believe there was a 13% increase in reported child abuse cases. What are you seeing in your investigations as you look into these homes and into these cases? What are you generally seeing?
Basically, it's the breakdown of the family. In the past, you had that extended family, that support, but now you're finding it's just the mother or it's just the father. And they do become extremely stressful because if there's one parent who's responsible for all the financial problems that they have, if they're responsible for disciplining, that could become very overwhelming. But I think we need to get back to that extended family where persons would reach out and assist.
Good morning, Chief Superintendent Skipping. I wanted to ask a little bit about the case with Matthew Brave. We know on the missing persons bulletin it said that he was missing since May 15th, but we didn't get that till yesterday, and the Marco alert didn't come out till yesterday. Can you kindly tell us why?
Okay, so what happened in that incident? The matter was reported to the police on the 22nd. That is when the parent, the father, reported the matter to the police. In speaking with the parent confirmed that he hadn't seen the child since the 15th of May. And that's why I say it's important. Parents need to parent their homes. And when things happen, you need to come to the authorities immediately. And so once we got the report yesterday from the parent, we were able to issue the Marcos alert.
Also, you said that you found him in this area called the Landing, if that's correct.
That's an area in Governor's Harbor, Luther, in the area of the airport.
Was he alone or was he with someone during this week that he was missing? Have you investigated?
No, as I indicated to you, we just found him this morning at 8:30. He's presently being assessed by medical practitioners on the island. Once that is completed, investigators will sit with him along with persons from social services, and all of those other questions that you may have, we'll be able to come back to you with that a little bit later. We haven't spoken to him yet because we want to make sure that medically he is okay. And so hopefully a little later on in the day, once the investigation has advanced, we'll get back to you and update you. Okay? Thank you so much. Last question.
Matthew would have been missing, you said, from the 15th of May, but his dad didn't report it until like the 20-something?
The 22nd, that's correct.
You were able to say, I guess, or did his dad say what was the delay, what it took him so long for him to file a missing person report?
Again, once we sit down today, we'll be able to get back to you with all that. But parents need to understand, you can't take anything for granted. Now, I can say that a sibling of his indicated that he saw his brother on Saturday, I think it was. And so maybe that may have been the delay why the father didn't report it, because a sibling, an elder brother, saw him. However, the father did not see his son since the 15th. And so he reported it on the 22nd.
Chief Superintendent Skippers, I know that you said investigations are still proceeding with Devin's case. So far, are the police suspecting that he doesn't want to turn home, just like the case with Mr. Brady?
It's too early to say that right now. Let's allow the investigators who are out at this very moment, and as I indicated, making significant leads in this matter. Let's allow them to do their due diligence, and then we can get back to you. Once we have Devin in our protective care, when we talk to him, we'll be able to speak more as to what may have transpired. At this time, it's difficult to say. Last question, Joshua.
Just for clarity, you said captured, and you used the word captured because he would have fled from officers.
Because he was trying to actually run away from the officers, and they had to literally run behind him to get him. Okay?
Yeah, but he said at this time, why didn't Mr. Gray want to go home?
At this time, as I indicated before, he's presently being assessed at this time. Once he's medically okay, we're going to sit down and have a conversation with him, and we'll be able to explain why he may not have wanted to be captured. Again, those investigations or those communications will not happen unless we have someone from social services present. So as soon as the officers on the island, the doctors cleared him that everything is okay, investigators on the island, along with social services, will sit down and talk to him to find out exactly what's going on. Additionally, social services will conduct home assessment to find out if the home is in a livable condition, what's going on inside the home, and then following that, social services will make their recommendations. Thank you so much, members of the press.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know. So we could just sit and the mics are still on as well.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
In order to reduce the cost of electricity for consumers, we need a grid that is well designed, effective, and efficient. Frankly, our grid is at the end of its life. We simply cannot lower costs or meet our full potential as a nation with outdated, deteriorating energy infrastructure. Madam Speaker, we have seen our economy roar back to life after the dark days of pandemic curfews and lockdowns. We are breaking all kinds of records, and we intend to keep breaking them. We will always work relentlessly to create opportunities and to make sure these opportunities reach more and more of our people. But an aging 20th century grid can't support a dynamic 21st century economy.
The Office of the Prime Minister Press Office is the primary liaison between the Fourth Estate and the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Every day, we are working to build a more inclusive economy and a stronger, safer country.
Hear all of the latest developments as the Davis administration carries out the broad mandate of progress and change. Our live weekly press briefings provide full access to current newsmakers on the most topical issues of the day. We facilitate prompt responses from cabinet ministers on the latest reports and get answers on the issues that matter to you.
Will any penalties be levied against the company?
OPM Press Now, keeping you in the know. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing. It's good to see all of you, as usual. As this week comes to a close, we'd like to share some preliminary information as the Davis administration prepares to present its budget 2024-2025. Next week, Wednesday, Prime Minister Philip Davis will deliver the budget communication to Parliament, and as has been previewed, it'll include some high-ticket items, including the whole issue of lowering the cost of electricity and making for a much more reliable system of electricity across the country. You've also heard a preview of a new hospital that is on the drawing board. There are also some standing priorities that you can expect to hear in the budget communication and the budget debate that will follow, including the improvement of revenue collection, debt management in the country, and of course lowering the cost of living for Bahamians. Please welcome the Minister of Economic Affairs, the Honorable Michael Halkitis, with an overview. Minister.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Adley, and good morning to all. It's a pleasure to be here once again at this press briefing. As Mrs. Adley said, we are on Wednesday, the 29th of May, which is next week Wednesday. The Prime Minister will present his budget communication to the nation, and as well at that time he will present the actual budget, which is the estimate of government revenue and expenditure for the forthcoming year. This would also provide an opportunity to give a report as to the outturn from last year. And so a bit of a background for members of the public who might be tuned in. Of course, the whole purpose of this budget exercise is that the Ministry of Finance is responsible for the actual funding of the government. So this is the mechanism by which we share with the public the way in which the government will be financed. That is the provision of money for all of the various government agencies and ministries to be able to fulfill their function. And equally important, this is an opportunity to demonstrate to the public, to the investing community, to the wider financial community, that we are seeking to ensure a stable and predictable and positive economic environment for people to conduct business and to go about their daily lives. A little bit about the process before I talk about what will actually happen. We are at the final stages of the preparation. As I said, the budget will be presented on Wednesday. And so over the past few months, the Ministry of Finance has been in discussions with the various ministries and departments where they have made their requests for money that they need to fulfill their function in this coming year. And we've been having some back and forth and some meetings to refine those requests and put together a budget that takes into account the global economy and what we expect the global economy to do in terms of growth, and what we expect, how we expect our economy to perform as a result of what's happening globally. We take those growth rates and we are able to then use that to make estimates of how much revenue the government will earn, and we balance that against the requests that we are getting from the various departments about initiatives that they want to do, or services that they want to expand, or just to continue to fund the services that they offer. And so you can imagine it's a balancing act, because there's constantly demand for more resources. The government has to make an estimation as to how much it can actually do in one given year, given the state of the economy. As we said when this administration first came into office, we wanted to revive our economy, not through cutting expenses or raising taxes, but through use of a 4-point plan, growing the economy, improving revenue administration, containing costs, and finding new sources of revenue. And we felt that over a multi-year period, we will see our deficits go down and borrowing requirements go down and our debt to GDP ratio go down. I can happily say that we have seen the positive results of that so far in the last 2 budgets that we have presented. And I can say without speaking out of school or preempting anything that we will see that positive trend continue. So you, the Bahamian public, will be able to see the progress that has been made over the last 2.5 years in terms of, as we say, getting the fiscal house in order. This is the next 2 years and going forward would be a critical period in our country in terms of the economy, because there was a very, very rapid recovery as we came out of COVID. We saw growth rates in the double digits. The economy grew coming off that low base. Now, as we normalize and move into the medium and longer term, we should see those growth rates get back to normal. But we are very, very happy that about the forecast in terms of growth rates around 2%, 2.5%, which are much better than we have been experiencing over the last 20 years pre-COVID. And so this is a very, very critical period. We will take the opportunity to inform the public about the improvements, but always mindful that we have to maintain the discipline because of all the attendant risks to our economy because of the nature of our economy. And so I'll open it up for questions soon, but I just want to make one last point. So expect to see the positive trend continue. We're very excited about how far we've come and what we expect to see during the coming year. The economy continues to rebound very nicely, of course, led by tourism and construction. And so I think the Bahamian people can have good reason to be hopeful and optimistic about this budget and the performance and what we are forecasting going forward. I'll open it up for questions, and the one point I wanted to make, I think I'll make that during the question period. Understandably, at this point, the Prime Minister will make the announcement and announce the initiatives, give the update, and so in terms of information. But you would have seen some trends in terms of, we had the mid-year budget and then reports coming out periodically. Mm-hmm. Mr. Kemp, yes.
Yes. Is the government still engaged with Rothschild this debt advice?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Let me say something else about that, because I don't like to give one-word answers. Like or as they said in the old days, monosyllabic answers, one-syllable answers. But anyhow, back in 2021, during the height of the COVID pandemic, Bahamians rightly became very, very concerned about the high levels of government debt. At some point, the debt to GDP ratio touched 100%. That's a little over 100%. I think it was June 2021. Before the pandemic, it was 58%. Understandably, it went up because the economy stopped. And so Bahamians became very, very concerned. On coming to office, this administration promised that we would address that issue, the issue of the debt, because it was so concerning to the public. And so what we undertook to do was a couple of things. There is a debt management office as required by the Public Finance Management Act within the Ministry of Finance. We pledged that we would give that office the resources, the personnel, et cetera, that they need, because what they do is they constantly analyze the government debt, how much debt we have outstanding, what it's composed of in terms of whether it's loans, whether it's overdraft, whether it's bonds, and look at the maturity, the interest rates, and they're constantly analyzing to find ways that we can optimize that, meaning can we lower the cost what is the ideal mix in terms of how long the debt is, that, debt management. We also said that we would form a private sector debt advisory committee. And so what we did was we went out into the private sector. We got people involved in the financial services area in the private sector. We formed a committee chaired by former Minister of State for Finance James Smith and also former Governor of the Central Bank. And what we wanted to do was get a private sector view who would work along with the Ministry of Finance Debt Management Unit to give their input and advice on what we should be doing in terms of the management of the debt. And so that is in place, and they've been working very well. Additionally, because a lot of our debt is held by international financial institutions, private investors, we engaged, we went through a procurement process, and then we came out, we awarded an engagement to Rothschild, which is an international financial advisory company, to assist us in our outreach and our engagement with the international investor community, inclusive of the rating agencies. So we're still engaged with them. And so what they've been doing over the past few years is helping us in our engagement in terms of investor meetings. I think it was in my presentation was that I gave to a group of investors last month. Several groups of investors was reported on, where I was giving them an update on the Bahamas. And so Rothschild has been assisting us in those types of engagements, communications, because you might recall, it's a long answer for one question, right? But I want to give the background. You might recall that about maybe a year to 18 months ago, there was a lot of reporting, a lot of commentary on the trading, the price of the government debt, and how the government debt was trading at what some people are calling distressed levels. And there was a suggestion that we were in danger of default. And we felt at the time that those prices, I don't want to get too technical, but those prices did not reflect what was truly happening in the economy. And so I went and did a lot of investor engagement, really telling the story about the Bahamas, what's happening with our economy. And then so you've seen, if you have some time just to look it up, you've seen that the prices have improved dramatically. The yields, again, which is an indication of the price. Like I said, I don't want to get too technical, but this picture has dramatically improved, and a lot of people were very, very happy with that, a lot of investors. And so that sort of investor engagement is important because, for example, if people see that your debt is trading at very, very low levels, meaning nobody wants it, then when it's time to go, if you needed to go back and raise some more money in the bond market, then the price that you will have to pay will be extremely high, and you're under danger you're under risk of nobody wanting it. So all of that, I just wanted to put it in the context of a structured plan, inclusive of providing our own internal department here, our own internal unit in the finance ministry with the resources that they need, bringing in private sector, local individuals involved in the industry to get the advice, and then bringing in, again, a professional advisor, because, the situation required that we do our best to make sure that we change that concept and that perception that somehow something was wrong with the Bahamas. The final point I want to make on that one question is, you would recall, and all of this is important because, again, you might recall about 2 years ago, there was a headline splashed in a couple of the papers where a regional economist had predicted that within a year or two, the Bahamas would be in the midst of an IMF program, meaning that things would get so bad that we would have to go to the IMF and they would, be telling us how to run our economy. Well, not only did that not happen, I think when you sort of peruse some of the observances of external observers, you'll see how pleased they are with in terms of getting the fiscal house in order, the progress that we've made. And so all of that becomes important because sometimes when you are buffeted with this negative news, you have to be able to put the story out, and you use various different tools to get the story out. So, yes.
How long has Rothschild expected to be engaged?
I think we probably extended them for maybe another year or so. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. It becomes useful. I mean, the job is sort of really never done, but you know, as I said, we made a lot of progress. We're very pleased with the work that they've done. And again, too, I'll tell you that when we engaged them, it was perceived as somehow we were, you know, about to enter some restructuring, and you know, we had to do a lot of communications. Restructuring meaning we couldn't pay, and so we were looking for someone to help us, you know, restructure. That, of course, is not the case. The Bahamas has always met its obligations, and that is something we stress to investors all the time. We have a long history of paying our debts, paying them on time, meeting our obligations, and that's something that we intend to continue to do. So, you know, from time to time, we have these advisors on various different levels of engagement because of the depth and the reach that they have, something that, you know, that we don't have. They can, you know, reach people. They have a global presence, and so, you know, they have assisted us greatly. We're very happy with the work that they've done, and we see it in the results, and then particularly when we talk about the levels that our international bonds are trading at.
Okay. There's also Goldman Sachs as well. You entered a refinancing agreement or financing agreement with Goldman Sachs back in 2022. How's that?
It worked out extremely well. Again, and I'll make my point now that I postponed before, right? I saw a commentary, and I heard about a commentary that's going to be coming, and then I saw a commentary in one of our dailies today saying that along the lines that if you're using concessional financing, somehow that means you don't have access to regular financing. So we use concessional financing for members of the public means financing at low interest rates based on the fact that, for example, you might be borrowing it from a development bank like the Inter-American Development Bank, or in the case of the hospital, the Chinese Export-Import Bank. And this idea that if you use concessional financing, somehow that's a negative, but you know, in fact, it's quite the opposite. Meaning, if I go to a U.S. bank and the interest rate is 7%, but I have an opportunity to borrow at 2% as a government, I have to borrow at the lower cost. I can't be worrying about you know, the perception that you had to go there to get the 2%. Meanwhile, I'm paying 5% more, which is, you know, over the life of the loan, several tens of millions of dollars that could have gone into education, health, etc. And so the point I wanted to make with the repo is that, again, at the point that was done, it was a simple, you know, financial management operation. Again, it was perceived, perhaps because of the name of in certain circles, certain companies are known for certain things. And again, early in the administration, when things had not quite improved to the level that we are now, there was a lot of chatter within the financial community that we're in trouble, we're going to restructure, we're going to default. And so a simple sort of refi using some assets that you had was perceived as, okay, somehow you're in trouble. But no, it's going quite well. We've met our obligations under that. And, you know, I think we reorganized it, but no difficulties, no problem to achieve what we needed to do at that time.
I know last budget communication at the beginning, we talked about a little bit corporate tax, and I know this year, February, it was an introduction to the a tax. Or will we see more discussion or more, at least, communication during Parliament this session to ease the, you know, the minds of the community, the business community on the property tax?
Yeah, again, I think What I think what you're alluding to is the fact that the OECD initiative for the 15% global minimum corporate tax on multinational corporations with 750 million euro of turnover. Again, a little bit of background. We had that initiative come out. I think the Bahamas signed on to it in March of 2021. I think it was March. We said there was 133, 135 countries that signed on. We signed on. What we did was we commissioned a study of the entire taxation system of the Bahamas by one of the big four accounting companies. One of them, I think it was Deloitte. They gave us a report. We took the information from that report and did a green paper, which we published, and we said, listen, we have this report. Here are some options that are available to us. What do you think? Unfortunately, I think that green paper was sort of construed as this is what the government is doing, but really was a discussion paper. Coming out of all of that, we got responses. So what we intend to do is move forward with that aspect of what they call the Pillar 2, which is we're going to put in place the 15% for those multinational corporations with 750 million euros or more annual turnover. So it doesn't affect the wider business community. We're going to go ahead with that pillar, which we estimate there might be maybe about maximum 50 multinational companies that fall within that category. And we've made some estimates of possible revenue that might accrue. As more information comes forward, we get a better idea of the number of companies, but that doesn't impact your Bahamian companies, your sort of regular companies. So you'll see some more. Actually, we intend to lay this legislation to bring that into effect, the 15% global for the multinational corporations. So you will see. Our intention is to present the legislation at the budget time and allow the summer period between budget time and when we go back to Parliament in late September, mid to late September for additional consultation, and then we intend to bring that into effect. We have been having a lot of consultations with companies who fall within that range, and we don't expect to see any sort of negative fallout in terms of pushback or exodus of business. Okay?
I don't know. I know it's a very hard question, but back to the lost child question.
That's not hard.
Since bringing them on over the years, how much do you quantify because of their consultation, the deficit?
Well, they don't consult on the deficit. Their consultation is more on our international financial transactions. And I can say, I mean, I would like to think that, some of it has to do with the work that we have done here in the Ministry of Finance as well. But working together, I think the savings has been phenomenal. I mean, we're talking about into the tens of millions of dollars in terms of the improvement on how your debt is trading. If you ever have some time to just go look at the graph, and we can share it. And just when you go back and do operations, the amount of money that you save, they were very, very instrumental as well in helping to advise us on the recent IDB transaction. So I think it's well worth it. And governments, we have advisors all the time. Even when you want to do a transaction, if you go to a bank, there is, some level of advisory in there. So no, I think it's money well spent, no doubt about it. And we'll continue, I think, as we go through this calendar year, you will continue to see the positive impact of their advice and their involvement. Yes, Ms. Leonard.
What updates can you give us on the negotiations with the fuel retailers and? We're
moving. We continue to talk. As I said, our main thing, and it hasn't changed. Our main, I looked at the paper this morning, and fuel is $5.91, $5.96, and I think maybe $5.95. Our concern has always been the impact on the driving public. And then when you talk about diesel, you're talking about the bus drivers and the fishermen and that sort of thing. And so I say over and over again, we're sympathetic to their plight. It's a difficult environment. We're moving closer. And so I think we can, without sort of promising anything, I think we're moving closer. I understand that they are very anxious. They've been very patient, and they've continued to endure a difficult environment. We're not unsympathetic, and so we are looking, and hopefully within the coming weeks we'll be able to announce some solution or some compromise. Again, we don't want Bahamians to just automatically you go to the pump and you have a higher price. So it's trying to do that balancing act. We understand these are Bahamian entrepreneurs who've invested in many times their life savings. They've gone into debt, we're struggling to make it, and so we're not unmindful of that. But on the other side is the Bahamian driver. So we're tweaking some proposals where we can minimize the increase, and we want to get that resolved and out of the way within the next couple of weeks.
Then I know there was also the Forum for Impact discussions
yes.
going on in Grand Bahama this week. Can you tell us a little bit about the importance of that and if anything seems to come out of it?
Yes, I actually asked for a report card, because it's a Forum for Impact. It's a group, I first interacted with them about, this is the third year that they're here. The first year they were in New Providence, and the last 2 years they went to Grand Bahama. It's a gathering of investors who are interested in investing for, as they said, impact, meaning economically sustainable projects, projects that advance equality and the balanced society, if I may put it that way, ESG, environment, society, and governance. And they come from all over the world. And what they're looking for opportunities to invest in those sorts of initiatives that promote sustainable development. They're in Grand Bahama. I was able to speak with them and give them an update on what we are seeking to do with the whole carbon market. And they are there. They do 3 days in Grand Bahama. They've toured various developments. I was able to share with them the initiative that we're undergoing with the IDB, the Blue Economy Initiative, where they're seeking to provide support for blue economy entrepreneurs in Abaco and Andros to begin with, and then eventually, hopefully, throughout the Bahamas. And the fact that those sorts of initiatives would impact, new entrepreneurs and small entrepreneurs, and in that way, lead to more balanced growth in the economy. So it's very important. What I want to get from them is, money solves all things. And so what I wanted to stress was the fact that, and what I said to them was that, it'll be good. They can organize themselves in a way so that funding is available. When Bahamians come forward with these proposals, that there's some mechanism, whether it's an investment fund, whether it's a venture capital fund, whatever it is. So in addition to what might be available from the IDB, or if you're lucky from one of our local commercial banks, there's also this pool of resources. So that's very important. The numbers are growing. I understand the numbers are growing. And so we are hopeful, and I've asked them to give us a sort of status as to what has happened over the last years as we've been here. But it's important for people to come and see, and you make those interactions. And sometimes you don't get the contribution right away, but it's building the relationships and the foundation. So I thought it was a positive outcome. And, you had about maybe 50, 80 people go to Grand Bahama, stay in a hotel, contribute to the economy. That helps. DB, sorry? GB, yeah.
Will we get an update on the Port Authority Talks 30s budget?
Possibly. I don't know.
Anything we expect with the arbitration?
Tim will tell you.
So we will expect him on next week to tell us.
I don't know, he might. Okay, I think you have some other updates. Listen, thank you very much. I know the nature of these, budget preview things is I just say a whole lot of hurry up and wait. But I just wanted to sort of clue you in that, sometimes, I think sometimes we get some predictions and that, doom and gloom, that we just need to keep telling the story. We don't need to buy in and make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. I looked at a meme. Is that what you call it? A meme or a graphic the other day saying that, the United States economy that is growing, very well. The stock market is doing very well. 49% of Americans think the S&P is down this year when it's having, a very good year. And 49% of Americans think that the economy is in recession. When exactly the opposite is happening, it's growing too fast. Well, so they're trying to slow it down by raising rates. And so I just say that to say to the public, listen carefully to the budget debate. Ministers will have an opportunity to report on their progress over the last year. Prime Minister will lay out all of the information, and you'll have it to dissect and analyze and turn over and spin around. And I always say that we have to, we are optimistic, but we're cautiously optimistic, and let's just guard against buying into some of the negative rhetoric that would perhaps cause us business people, even as individuals, to miss out on some of the opportunities that are there because, the economic environment is, in our view, very, very positive and only set to get better. So thank you very much for coming, and have a good weekend, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week, Wednesday. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Alkitis. So you had it right. It was a meme. You had it right. All right. Are there any further questions this morning?
My question, I know I spoke to you, but it's in relation to the Tribune headline today regarding allegations that FTX gave donations of over $600,000 to family members of government officials. Can you deny or give comments to those allegations that are in those documents?
Yes, so we're aware of that report. I read that report in your paper this morning. There weren't exactly any specifics or any names called, no direct allegations, so it's hard to comment on that, but it's something that the office will continue to monitor.
So we'll be looking into certain allegations like $1 million bonuses paid to a former government official in that report?
Again, no specifics on who it relates to, so it's hard to comment further than that on that report.
And what do you say, again, I know this is a recurring question around FTX, but of course the appearance of having partiality and, government officials gratifying themselves in these dealings. What do you say to those optics according to this report?
Before I say anything on that, I would await full details before reaching any conclusions on that matter. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? There's a question about the...
No, that was it.
The officer? Okay, you got your answer. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great afternoon. But before we go, a Friday Sweet Treats. Heavenly Sweet Treats are a small business feature for today. I'd like to welcome our vendor to the stage today, Heavenly Sweet Treats. She'll tell us all about her business, how she got started, and of course we'll get to taste the proof in the pudding almost literally this morning. Welcome.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Chantel Dovell, and I am the proprietor of Heavenly Sweet Treats, trading as Tasty Crumb. I was very passionate about baking from the age of 8 years old. I could remember being in the kitchen with my mom, making breads and, cakes and cookies. But it wasn't until the pandemic when I had more time, working from home, that I was able to, dabble in various recipes and pass them out to family and friends and, receive positive feedback that I decided to take a little bit more interest into baking. So today, I think I sold my first cake in January 2022. I brought some of our samples for you. We specialize in, special occasions, which is our birthdays, anniversaries, graduations. We even do special Mother's Day boxes, Father's Day boxes, Christmas boxes, Independence, whatever you can think of. We put it together in a nice box. We offer a variety of sizes. What really put us on the map was our bento cakes, which is the very small cakes, because sometimes persons don't have that high ticket price item and they want to have a custom cake made. So we offer 4 inches up to the sheet cakes. We do rum cakes, banana breads, guava duff, you name it, Heavenly Sweet Treats provided. We also offer catering for dessert tables. So that's us. You can reach us at telephone number 242-462-5814, email tastycrumbs242@gmail.com. Also, we are on Facebook, which is Heavenly Sweet Treat Trading as Tasty Crumb, and also Instagram, which is Heavenly Sweet Treats _Chantel. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Everything looks good, and I'm sure everybody's eager to do the taste test. All right? Thank you very much, everybody, for coming this afternoon. We will see you next week. And, of course, if there are any questions or queries, please contact us here at the Office of the Prime Minister. Thank you, everyone.